Hello, I'm Gold Derby's Daniel Montgomery. I'm here with our contributor Jeffrey Kare, and we're here to talk about the latest episode of Dancing with the Stars, which was Disney Night, this is the fourth time that the Dancing with the Stars has had this particular theme, which is especially advantageous in terms of synergy for ABC, which of course is owned by Disney. So the contestants performed to any number of Disney songs from Disney films, including the upcoming Cars 3, which they got to promote. First of all, what did you think of the theme overall and the night overall?
Well, I thought it was a pretty nice night. I mean, I thought everyone, did the best they could, dancing to all these either classic or even newer Disney songs from all this whole tapestry of films. Yeah, I thought it was a great night.
Who did you think was what was your favorite performance of the night?
I would have to say Heather Morris because I mean, I thought her dance to For the First Time in Forever from Frozen was just perfect. It was like, it seemed to match every single lyric in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was a bit underscored. She ended up fourth, tied for fourth on the judges' leaderboard. Carrie and Abba said she hoped for more. Although I agree with you, Jeffrey. I don't know what she was looking for. And so it was so perfectly in character, and it had plenty of dance as far as I could see. I don't know why there was a criticism that it didn't have enough dance in it. That was one of my favorites. My personal favorite was Normani Corday's Paso Doble, which actually did get the top score of the night. But those top two, and Simone Biles also with that contemporary dance at the end of the night, I thought those three performances were really the highlight of the evening for me.
And thankfully, there was no onstage mishap involving Ali Carvalho like what happens at the Oscars this year.
Yeah, she didn't get hit by a flag or any other props, which just goes to show you. And they announced the right elimination. It wasn't like we're sorry, Moonlight has been from Dancing with the Stars this week. Which speaking of elimination, Erika Jayne did end up going home, the reality TV star from Real Housewives. I actually thought this was her best performance of the season. She performed to Unforgettable from Finding Dory, and it was such a beautiful performance and beautifully danced performance. And I've always known that she's had it in her. I just feel like she's always been kind of holding back in terms of the emotions and sort of hiding behind, this sultry persona, which has never really felt that, completely authentic, to her. Like, yeah, she has that sexy side to her, but there's also these other dimensions that we'd like to see as well. So what do you think of that performance and that elimination?
Well, she might as well have done the best she could. I mean, I definitely thought the opening shot and the end was just unforgettable, pun intended. And, well, yeah, I guess at least she was able to end her run on a high note. I mean, hey, well, again, I'm not too sad about her being eliminated.
Now, let's go to the bottom of the leaderboard. But before that, let me ask, what was your least favorite performance of the evening, if there was a least favorite for you?
Oh, let me take a look. Let me see. Let's see. I'd say for the most part, I liked, what I saw. But I guess if I had to pick a least favorite, maybe Bonner.
Yeah, Bonner Bolton performed a tango to Wreck-It Ralph. I thought that was I thought that was solid for him
Yeah.
personally. Yeah, it was. That was. Yeah, what I really liked and what the judges complimented was he was very good and moved very well in hold when he was in hold with his partner. I like those portions of the dance especially well. My personal least favorite was, and it wasn't a terrible dance. It was just a little awkward in places for me. Was Nick Viall who
Oh.
performed to Pinocchio. He performed a jazz routine with Peter Murgatroyd, and I thought that was It was decent. It was kind of fun. I thought, you know, he didn't quite sell it the way you kind of need to, and I don't necessarily even hold that against him too much. You know, you could tell it was very much out of his comfort zone, and so when he's dancing it, I could almost sense the look on his face, just like, you know, what am I doing right now? This this kind of sense of this out of body experience almost. What did you think of that routine?
Well, this is where you and I not only disagree, but it's also where you and the judges disagree, because I thought that dance was pretty skillful. I mean, and plus, you also might have to admit that opening Pinocchio parody before the dance was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was cute. I didn't hate it. It just didn't work for me as well, and it probably worked for me less because it got like nines from two of the judges, which I thought was, you know, compared to some of the other performances, it was a little bit inflated to me. Like, you know, I mean, maybe eights. I would have gone maybe a seven, but like eights, okay. But a couple of nines felt like, what are you watching? What are you watching, judges?
Well, oh yeah. In fact, I even started to wonder. You know, I wonder how different it is to experience these dances live at the studio as opposed to on TV. I'm wondering if that ends up making a difference or something.
Yeah, I always wonder that same thing. I always think to myself, you know, after a night is over, you know, are these judges going to go back and watch the recordings, like, you know, the ones on YouTube, or you know, watch the whole show back on you know, abc.com or something, and just look at a dance and go like, ooh, I wish I had that score back. I wish I had scored that a little higher. I wish I had scored that a little lower. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was on the night. So I always wonder about that, and with Nick in particular, you know, scoring him in advance, or, you know, scoring him early in the night, you know, giving him that nine, it sort of set a weird pace for the rest of the evening, where, you know, okay, who's better, who's worse, and all that sort of thing.
Hmm. I see. And in fact, I guess this was another question I have. You know, I guess when we see people overscored or underscored, I also wonder if the judges needed a little more time to think about their scores before, you know, I guess the, you know, time they have to determine them.
Yeah, and you know, also highlight performance of the evening was Nancy Kerrigan to That's How You Know from Enchanted. I
Right.
thought that was lovely, and you know, her nervousness kind of came back a little bit this week after the last couple of weeks. She seemed more confident. This week she was performing with a lot of younger professional troupe dancers, and so she was a little intimidated by that. But I thought she handled that well. What did you think?
Oh yeah, I thought the staging of that number was very good, and I even, you know, remember Kristen Chenoweth performing that and the Oscars the year all those Enchanted songs were nominated, but of course end up losing to Falling Slowly from Once.
Oh yeah, that was yeah, and soon thereafter, the Oscars decided, maybe a few years after that, that you could only have two songs maximum from one film be nominated.
Uh,
Uh, you know, so but yeah, that was a lovely film, and it was kind of a deep cut in terms of Disney. I don't know how much people still think about that film nowadays, even though it was a big hit at the time. So that was really nice to see her do that.
mhm.
Um, One performance I thought was maybe a little bit underscored relative to the other ones. I actually thought the scoring was spot on, but I thought, you know, compared to the other ones, he might have maybe should have gotten a slight bump higher. Was David Ross. He performed a jive, and I thought he handled the footwork surprisingly well. I wouldn't argue with the judges who called him a bit flat-footed in places. So I think the sevens were warranted, and so was that 1-8. He got an 8 from Julianne Hough. Uh, what did you think of that? That was the preview of Cars 3, so you know, they
Right.
got a big advertising boost out of that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they did. But as for the dance itself, you know, I guess that might have been another contender for my least favorite dance of the night. I mean, not that there was anything wrong with it. I guess wasn't as memorable to me as some of the other dances. But yeah, I mean, could you see him being the next one to be eliminated next week?
He did finish at the bottom of the leaderboard, so he's definitely at risk, and he's never been this low. He's never been at the bottom, and he's usually been in the middle or in the middle upper end of the leaderboard. So he's never really had his fan base tested in terms of can they save him when he's in trouble. I think he probably does have the fan base to survive at least this week, at least compared to Bonner Bolton. I think early on in the season, Bonner Bolton, had this heartthrob, kind of appeal that I thought was going to get him a lot of votes. But he hasn't really played up that, the sex appeal aspect like I thought he would. Like he hasn't, we've seen a shirtless performance from Nick Viall and from Rashad Jennings, but he hasn't had one. So he's not really playing up that side of his persona. And so I don't know how many fans he's generated as a result from his performances, since they've been a little bit, hit and miss from time to time with the judges. So I'm actually thinking Bonner might be the one to go home next. If Bonner had finished a little higher, then maybe it would be David Ross. But Bonner finished just 1 point ahead of David Ross near the bottom of the leaderboard.
That's a good point.
Who are you? Are you predicting David Ross or anyone else?
Well, I just put Bonner Bolton in first place in my predictions, with David Ross in second.
Yeah. Do you think anyone from the middle or near to the top of the pack could be at risk, or because every once in a while we see a middle of the pack dancer go home, or even sometimes middle upper. There will be a shocking elimination of someone we don't expect, but that hasn't happened in a while. Do you think there's a risk of that?
I don't think so. I mean, again, of course, anything's possible. Like, of course, I remember how shocking everyone was when Konstantin Maroulis was eliminated on the 4th season of American Idol.
Yeah. So you never really know how it's going to go. Or to paraphrase Moana, you never know how far they'll go. Insert Ali Carvalho high note there. And so next week they're going to be team dances, and there's going to be a boy band girl group kind of into it. What are you looking forward to next week?
Well, I guess it should be interesting to see how it goes, how it turns out, because I mean, I guess never really thought of a boy band versus girl group theme before.
Yeah, I'm wondering with those team dances, because of that theme, if they're going to split up the remaining teams by gender. You've got 4 female celebrities and 4 male celebrities left in the competition, so it's an even split. But if they do that, I really feel like they're going to be harder on the women, because the women, that deck is really stacked, because if they have one team with just the women, that's Nancy Kerrigan, Simone Biles, Heather Morris, and Normani Corday, who on average get the highest scores of the night every week. And the male team is going to have Nick Viall and Bonner Bolton and David Ross, who have not had the highest scores overall this season, plus Rashad Jennings, who maybe will hold all of them up. But I feel like if they do split it by gender, they might give the men a little bit of an easier break, in terms of how rigorously they score them.
Well, if they do decide to do that gender splits, then the producers of Dancing Stars must really be watching our slugfest.
Well, we will see what happens then. It was a pleasure chatting with you again this morning about Dancing with the Stars. I will talk to you again next week, and thank you everyone for watching us.